Let's get started. DevOps. Have you ever heard about such concept?
Dr. Michael sent video in our Telegram chat.
Yesterday. And what you learned from this video? What do you know about DevOps so far?
So DevOps is a combination of developer and then operation, which combines the work and then efficiently produces the work by it does releases.
We release all together, right?
Yes.
For what ops or operations are responsible?
It's tricky. In my opinion, it's a tricky question because I didn't fully realize what is the difference between sprints in Scrum and DevOps. So it would be better if you clarify it.
We will, but it's completely different stuff. Let's start from what dev here and what ops here. It's people. Dev, it's our developers, guys who write the code. And ops, it's support, operations. It's our testers. We call them QA, right? Quality assurance. It's our guys who fix bugs. If anything happened during production or post-production. So also, let's say call center. We use Snow or ServiceNow. It's when our customers request something to fix, to change already in our website that exists, let's say. It all goes to ops because we already created a website, let's say this page as developers. But if we need to change something, we also may call it ad hoc request, something that will come to us constantly to enhance what we already developed. Is it clear now?
Yes. So ops, it's operation. They complete the work which developers did it, like develop.
All right. And what's the difference between, you said, Agile and DevOps? I don't think, yes, it's right here. So let me start from the topics, what we will cover today. And just a heads up, guys, I have so many information about DevOps. We won't cover everything today. So the whole week, it's about DevOps because it's super huge topic and it's super important. Why? Because probably you heard that DevOps engineers, they are on a huge demand and the salary is amazing, etc., etc. But if we can represent ourselves as Agile and DevOps coaches, then guys, you're gonna be on 1% of the entire population and on the entire professionals in Agile and DevOps. Why DevOps is so popular right now? I'm sure you know Netflix. And Netflix is a huge, let's say, company. And we know that they have streaming platforms and we can use and stream the, let's say, videos on a planchets, on iPhones, on, I don't know, monitors, on every screen, right? And what do you think? How many people works for this company as developers? How many
Thousands?
programmers we need?
Thousands.
Thousands. Mhm. They implemented DevOps. They were one of pioneers, let's say, in DevOps. And everything relied on 70 developers, 70 only.
Wow.
So what was the before? Hi, everyone.
Oh, before it was, I don't know, thousands and thousands of developers, but they could eliminate a lot of them just to 70, because it's automation. And if you work together with development and operations, you can release even every day, even multiple times a day. So if something is not working, because they have a lot of tools implemented in this pipeline, tools itself can track and find this issue, this bug, something that it's not working, and immediately fix it. And you, let's say, as a DevOps engineers, you became more managers. I have zero understanding in coding and testing, etc. But I can call myself DevOps manager. I'm not engineer. I'm managing the process. So right now we are implementing DevOps also for some teams. And I'm responsible for this implementation, even though, again, I'm at zero in coding, testing. I'm not engineer. I'm not IT at all. But
Nadia,
we manage in the process. Yep.
so we may become DevOps managers as well, right? Fantastic.
Yes. Fantastic. Add it to your resume for sure. So, what's the difference between Agile and DevOps? It's an amazing question. And to answer on this question, let me step back to waterfall. We know that waterfall has a longer release cycle, let's say, right? It might take 5 years, 1 year, etc. So it's a super, and we have long term, yes, we have planning, we refine, we design, we implement, let's say we test and we deliver. But in Agile, we have shorter cycles, right? Let's say 2 weeks when we get this feedback and we implement it and we deliver, we release. In DevOps, it's even shorter cycle and it's more automated, even though it's not in a parentheses, let's say, it's really automated. It's also a mindset because it's easier to understand than implement. Why? Why you think it's super hard to implement even though it's super easy? Because of the people. A lot of politics will be involved, so be prepared. Because people don't want to give their power away to you or to some program that will run everything do by itself. We have a lot of funny memes where, let's say, programmers, juniors, they do something. Project managers, product managers, etc. They like exploring only. And DevOps engineers doing nothing. Why? Because they automated everything. So Agile software development. Yes, we can respond to change quickly. Let's say 2 weeks. Or if we need to change something even today, yes, we can do it. We can add it to our backlog. We can even add it to our current sprint, even to today. But we have to remove something, right? What is not important. And only after that, we can add a new task based on the capacity of our team. Because we don't want to overwhelm them and we don't want to change our pace. In DevOps, we can make this development even shorter because developers and supporters, let's say, operations, they work together. And we can respond to this issue even in a second, let's say, okay, in a minute. So the entire life cycle of a product or service, it works together. And we can run through this pipeline in a minutes instead of weeks, let's say, or days. Of course, we use both of them to improve value delivery. And DevOps, it's not a replacement. It's enhancement to agile software development. Why? You can't become DevOps without a higher level of maturity in agile first. That's why, guys, we are moving up, right? We know what the Scrum is. We have some understanding of what agile is. Now we use the same, let's say, sprint, but because we use multiple tools and we work together, let's say we have pair programming, or we work as two people even in one monitor, in one screen. I'm a support, you're a developer, together, and we just
I have a question.
Yes. Please. We all ears and you keep silent. Why?
Maybe something happened.
Raise your hand when you be back, okay?
Hello.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I have a question. So if the agile is a methodology, right? Scrum, it's a method. And what is the DevOps? It's just methodology or it's a method?
Scrum is a framework.
I'll beat you. Yes, Yerjan. Nothing of this is a methodology.
No. I mean, the agile is a methodology. Right?
No. If you answer like this during interview, you fail.
Okay.
Agile, it's
I will leave the chat.
No. Please stay. Agile, it's a mindset.
Okay.
And Scrum, DevOps, etc. It's frameworks. It's a way of working. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Or we can say PDCA or Kanban. It's also frameworks. It's just different types of frameworks. All right. Focus, in an agile software, it's in development. In DevOps, it's both development and operations. It might be hard to understand the structure right now, but what we do in DevOps, we break in silos, how we like to say it, we love to say it. When, again, Dev and Ops, they work together. They even work on one story together. You see what's the difference here? On Agile, one team member can work on one story. Here, we have less amount of work, kind of.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
So in Scrum framework, when we have sprints, when we start sprint, we have goal of the sprint, we have name of the sprint, we have team of the sprint. and everything combined, prepared, we complete the sprint, we have our retrospective, we know everything about it, but how does it work in DevOps framework? What is the difference between Scrum actually and DevOps?
Amazing question. Amazing. We have to have fixed, let's say, capacity each sprint that we can dedicate to our ad hoc requests. Let's say we have 100 story points and we have 10 team members. They both developers, testers, etc. Someone who really do the work, right? 10 people. And each of them have, let's say, 10 story points per sprint available for them. Because 10, it's not a Fibonacci sequence number. Then we understand that each, let's say, of our team members can spend 20% of their work into ad hoc request, into support, and 80 on development. This percentage rate can change. It depends on what stage on the process of development process you are right now. If it's existing, let's say, website, then yeah, probably it's 80 to 20. If you're developing something new, then probably 20 now. If, let's say, you start enhancing something, then work dedicated to DevOps and Ops together can increase. You know what I mean? So it depends on the work and on the life cycle of your product or your service right now. Is it clear, or I made it even more complicated?
Yes, more complicated. I'm sorry, Nadia.
Okay, let me continue then, and probably it will be more clear. Or how I can show it to you guys. Okay, let's say we have this bottle. It's our capacity. And we can dedicate 20%, let's say, of our work only for ad hoc requests, for support. And 80 we can spend on development. Then ad hoc request is coming. And we know that we have one pipeline of all our work, and it should be prioritized one by one. But because we know that ad hoc requests, let's say we have 8 hours of work day, and we can spend 5 hours on development and let's say 2 hours plus 1 hour for lunch, right? 2 hours for support tickets. Does it make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, but what support tickets is?
It's everything what's related to ops. Everything.
Okay.
Bugs, some enhancements, even giving access to someone, something like that.
Okay, cool.
It's one of the examples. If you have more human work, let's say, but if you have all your tools installed, it might go automatically. But again, let's get there, okay?
Okay.
So DevOps involves all technical processes, continuous deployment, integration, testing, deployment, and monitoring. And it should be automated at some point. Why it's a fresh approach? Because not every company using DevOps right now. For some, Agile is quite enough. Because DevOps needs a lot of communication, players, alignment, so different people in an organization, right? And also it's much easier to extend your team members number and become a higher senior tech lead or manager if you have at least 3 to 4, right, people under you. Then let's say you don't have people, but your process are working. So for a company, it's much more efficient, let's say. But for people, we don't want to automate everything and give our power of attorney, let's say, to tools. This is the most important bottleneck, and why DevOps is not implemented in many organizations. Okay, so people factor, human factor. And we need a lot of tools, but you know what the beauty of DevOps? A lot of them open source tools. You know what does it mean?
Like Jira?
Open tools. It means
Like
they,
Atlassian and Jira?
Atlassian and Jira, they semi-open, but the rest that we
Like
can
Office, Slack, no?
Git, other tools, they free. So you can test them, you can understand them by yourself. Yes, some features are for money, but on for some easy tasks, you can create this DevOps pipeline even in any organization, in a small one, let's say. Okay, what's the structure? We have a product set, right? So what does it mean? Fewer products made for easier collaboration. There will be fewer natural silos. What it says to you? What does the product say?
No idea.
It's tricky, even though it's super easy if you're a small organization. But if it's a big company, it's super hard to understand what your product or service is. For example, HR department, human resource. What's your product?
People, specialists, generalists.
I think the skill to find the right people to the right position. Product is skill.
Is it a skill or it's a part of the process?
So if you from which perspective, if we can look from like a product or not,
Or
I think it's skill.
service?
If we are HR department, we have a request for some specialist in some team or for some team, and we start looking and interviewing people to find the one, and when we have found them, the task is completed.
Okay, you know what's happening here? It's how our brain is wired. What you're telling me right now, it's a process. It's not a product or service. For example, I'm asking you, what is a McDonald's product? And you tell me, oh, we take in a bun, putting a patty on the top of
the McDonald's. It's a system. Main
so
product.
you're explaining me the process of creating
Product.
and what the product of McDonald's.
Land, like it was in the movie. Oh, the owner of the
You would say it's a burger.
actually,
It's a burger. It's not a lettuce or patty or tomato, right? Or what people do. What we see as a customers, the end product, it's a Big Mac, let's say.
So HR,
Mhm.
the product is people, right? Human resource.
No, you can't say that it's people.
I mean the specialist.
You're not owning them. They're not slaves. You're not selling them. No. So
Okay.
what's the product?
Working teams, working organization, the flow of the organization with the right people in the right place.
I think it will be candidates.
It will be what?
Candidates. I mean, potential candidates. If it's HR, what are we looking? We're looking for a product. Product could be.
In the HR, so many let's say areas. It's not just hiring. It's also comp and ben, compliance, traveling, bonuses, benefits, blah blah blah. So many stuff around HR.
Communication,
The whole-
I don't know,
Communication.
right?
It's a tool. Communication, it's a part of the process, or it's a tool if we talk about some Slack or I don't know. Okay,
Functioning of the organization.
it's not about functions. Again, what's the product? What our customers get as a product?
Job.
Job, it's not a product.
I want to say service. The product is the service.
Products or service, it doesn't matter, but what I get as a employee, what product I get.
Money, job.
Benefits, yeah, it's a part of it.
$200 annually.
Okay. Product of human resource department in ideal world and how it's supposed to be in, let's say, agile, it's happy employee.
Happy employee.
We have CRM systems for our internal customer relations, let's say, management. And we measure what?
If he fits, right?
As a KPI. Customer satisfaction index. How satisfied our customers from our product? Why we don't have this in organizations or our internal customers? So in HR, our product is employees satisfaction index. How happy our employees are. And it includes everything, right? Compensations, benefits, a job, blah, 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 all included under satisfied employee. If they're not satisfied, they're gonna leave. So this is tricky because to identify a product and create product taxonomy, let's say, of all products that you and services you have in your organization, and to understand who is your customers, oh my God, it's crucial to start DevOps because you need to understand what is your product sets for internal customers, external customers, for your business partners, for your stakeholders, what you really delivering to them, what the value. Then, of course, we need super strong technical leaders, our architects, our engineers. Why? Because we have to teach them how to create this pipeline and how to monitor, how to inspect, how to execute it. and we need them to understand what IT is, right? But at the same time, we need them to be able to, let's say, capacity of change. What is capacity of change? We have highly skilled engineers, but we also teach them, let's say, what language they should use in this DevOps pipeline. Let me explain you. You know what is a story, right? We writing user story from user end user perspective. I, as I don't know, agile coach, want to be able to log in into Zoom and let's say see my students. It's all about login, right? I should be able to log in less than 5 seconds. I want to use a password, minimum, let's say, 5 characters to be able, so it will be strong enough, etc., etc. So some characters, right? And acceptance criteria for this login story. But when it goes to DevOps pipeline, everything should be first be written in the user story. We should have acceptance criteria, because this acceptance criteria will identify if we pass the test, automation test at the end. Meaning, what we have. Me, as a, let's say, agile coach, should be able to log in such amount of time using this password. If this password met all criteria, etc., etc. What if we add extra feature, let's say, or extra letter in this password? Will it work or not? If we have something like bigger than 5 characters, then it shouldn't pass the system. You know what I mean?
So at the end,
Our technical engineers, let's say, our dev and ops, they're becoming more writers. They need to create this user story that will pass all tests and through this pipeline further. And we also need to create labels, tags. We need to use flags, compounds. We should attach exact what release it goes. So our first thing, small thing as user story became super critical. And this small user story will go through this pipeline. If in Agile, we can write something, I don't know, I need this to be done. I want it, blah, blah, blah. So it will give me such and such on a higher level. In DevOps, it won't pass if we don't have acceptance criteria included in our user story.
so may I ask you a question? If we have a task to log in into Zoom with special criteria and some limits, at the end of the day, we have a release when the task is fully completed. So in a traditional way of Scrum, for example, it's a sprint with a duration of 2, say, weeks. In DevOps, you said that it may help to reduce time, probably because we reflect on some, I don't know, requirements or something else, so we can complete it quicker. How do we achieve that velocity in DevOps versus Scrum procedure?
Amazing question. I wish I could use Legos. Let's say we have developers, right? First of all, our DevOps pipeline, it never stops. And we can develop something during 2 weeks. And this, what we're developing, it might go slower through our pipeline. But what we testing, let's say, and what we enhancing what goes in the ops, it might run much quicker. The thing is, we shouldn't stop our development process and at the same time be able to accommodate ops requests that might be so on a high priority that if we not fix it, let's say in 10 minutes, it will cost us 10 billion. And what is more important in DevOps and why we accommodate both of the processes, that we have super, how to say, we prioritize our dev and ops work at the same time, and it goes in the one pipeline. But let's say, I make it even more complicated. Can you repeat your question?
It would be better if I continue. So we estimate each task, each story in DevOps. We estimate it in some time measurements instead of some Fibonacci number or something. I mean, when we have our sprint with filled with a few tasks or user stories, we estimate the whole sprint with 2 weeks, and no matter how fast we complete each story in that sprint. So in DevOps, we estimate each task. We know how much time does it take to get it done, and if it maybe I'm not.
First of all, DevOps, it's just extension to Agile. So we have the same capacity, we use the same story points. We have, let's say, as I said in the beginning, 100 story points per, let's say, 10 team members. We just know that 80 story points will go to dev, or 20, let's say, will go to ops. And during the day, we have, let's say, 11 story points or 10 story points, whatever, per our team member. And he or she can focus on development work and ops at the same time. If we talk about people, but we also have tools. That's why it's hard to answer on this question in hours or capacity or anything else, because the speed this task will go through this pipeline is different. Smaller will go faster, bigger will go slower, but they all go in. It's still, work never stops. I don't know how to explain it in different way. I hope
maybe hardly, but if if there be some practice, if we will see or try real examples, probably then we understand the difference. How, it's about technical, it's a technical issue, I guess, more than just an issue of a mindset. We understand what it is, but probably we don't understand how to operate with it right now.
Let's do this on Thursday. It's yes, this Thursday in 2 days. I'll create some backlog for DevOps model, and we will play around it. Okay. We will have our
fantastic
demo. Yeah. Okay. Also, why it's so hard, guys, because we have different possible team structures. I said 20, 80%, blah, 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 right? Here it's 50-50. When we collaborate, we have 50% of people who works for development and 50 who works for operations. And we share only, let's say, 15% of DevOps work that we can pair on this task together, or it will go through this DevOps pipeline while we still have our sprints. And let's say it's mostly works independently for dev and ops, and we have just a small amount of time or task, let's say, that we can share. No ops. It's when we don't have operations at all and we have only developers. And some developers can help our operations to do their work, but it's still mostly we focus on development right now. Then we can have ops as a platform. What does it mean? We working under for, let's say, call center. And call center usually has a lot of ad hoc requests or sysadmins, right? They always fixing something. So it's all operations. And we creating some automation program for our poor system administrators. They, let's say, become our platform or our users in this case. And yes, we also can include some of them for us to consult us, to help us, but we still work independently. You see, such a small, let's say, amount of time or tasks that we can share. And DevOps external, when we have our additional subsystem. Yes, we have our operations, our support team, we have developers and team members shared here. We have some shared services, as we call them. So that's why, guys, it's so hard to answer on what percentage and how exactly this will work. The concept, as you understand, it's when we work together as the developers and support team. Questions here?
No questions.
No questions. No questions.
Yeah. And then I have a question to you guys. What do you think? In which situation we can use these different team structures? Second line, it's a clue for you.
Is it depends on how big is the team or?
How big is this team? But you know that, right? That the Scrum team, it's 7
6,
to
9.
11 maximum. Yeah, 7 plus minus 2, it's the best number. Why? Because it's a number of our short-term memory capacity. It's from psychology, but okay. It depends on what team maturity we have, what program or product or service we have. As I said, for example, for call center, it's better to use ops as a platform. For something new that we created, it's better to use no ops when we immediately can try if it works at all. In the collaborative way, it's when we have, let's say, not so hard work. We've been in agile for a long time. We know what we do. We know all our process. We have repeatedly come in work, let's say. So we can collaborate. And DevOps external is when we scale. That's why we have this shared services, shared team between maybe even 2 teams, but they all become one team through this shared team. More clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Benefits. Why? Yes, because it's easier for people to manage the system. We all became more like managers instead of testers or developers. We still do it, but if we understand the process, we can make faster decisions. Process, a lot of things automated here. That's why we don't focus on small tasks. It's not bothering us, right? And it's easier to fund our work because we can fund by products, not by teams. Because we have stable team in this case, less bugs, code conflicts, etc. Of course, it's faster and quality is better because we can check right away what we just created. Challenges. I spoke about this a little bit. People, they don't want to give away their power, right? It's more about mentality than about development. They might not understand continuous delivery practices. They want to see some result immediately, but here we have results immediately, but they will still go back to us and we can enhance always and work on it, etc., etc. So it's continuous work in progress instead of just we created something and will stay forever. No, because world is growing and people and our customers need something else. Yep. Sorry. And processing tools. Oh my God, it's so many tools in this pipeline, and we have to install and connect all of them together. And here you see again team ownership. A lot of politics here again. Like I'm responsible for automation. No, I'm responsible for support, etc., etc. We have to become one team, one company who works together on the same goal, let's say. And we need to understand what is our metrics. How we will understand that how we can measure our success. And a lot of about infrastructure to microservices is moving. What is microservices? Do you know?
No.
Legacy infrastructure, let's say, it's something that was built once and it's super solid. Or architecture, when we created some process once and we think it's working, so it should stay like this. But microservices and architecture runways, it's when we have multiple, let's say, cloud services, and instead of going one by one and it's pipeline that like step by step, we can pull different metrics, different data for different microservices from AWC, Amazon Web Cloud Services, right? From, let's say, IBM Cloud, etc., etc. So we have all these tools in a cloud. And we don't need to wait while it will go one by one. Does it make sense? It's just like advertisement why we have to move to DevOps. It will save us some time, money, blah, blah, blah. Everyone will be happy. Recommendation steps for implementation. For that, let me overwhelm you with with this one. I will show you something, okay? We won't touch it right now. I just want to show you an example how we can manage the process of implementation. I'll share it with you in a group, don't worry. First of all, we need to understand if our agile methodology and all practices implemented and obeyed, if our team really works in agile. We need to understand then our product management, demand management, if we have releases, how short our releases, what is our KPI? Do we use velocity or other capacity estimation? Let's say, do we know our burn down? How soon we can deliver our product? If we have this team roles, if we know who is responsible for what, if we have all our events, if we obey them, if our epics written in a direct way, and if our stories and tasks, again, written in a correct way, if we follow invest principles. I will talk about this later. What is our culture? What is our management process? How we release, how we manage our release, etc., etc. So you see how big is this checklist, let's say, for us. And after we ran our teams through this checklist, we can evaluate if they ready at all to scale for DevOps. Here we can see some raw data, let's say. Also, it gives us opportunity to focus on what should be enhanced, right, on improved. And let's say then we have summary of our raw data and our evaluation. What's our gap analysis, we also call it. And why I'm showing it, let me go back to why DevOps. It's, again, easy to understand, but super hard to implement. Because if we can first define, understand what our current stage is, if we are ready for this cultural shift at all, what we need to close in our gaps, right, in our gap analysis. If we really use Agile on a higher level, if our team is mature enough, if we, I don't know, use the labels in our Jira, etc., etc. So if we excellent enough in Agile to move to DevOps or not. Then if we understand what is continuous integration and delivery platform is, if we have this platform at all, if not, then we have to ask or guide, coach our architects, team leads, etc., to create this platform. If we have testing, continuous testing environment, is it automated enough? If we need to work on deployment system, is it continuous enough? So this might be different tasks, tools, right, that we need to attach to each other. And if we use blue-green deployment, what is blue? It's when new deployment is triggered and deployed in a parallel, or old one, green, is happening. I'll talk about this more on Thursday, okay? Because we almost ran out of time, but it also will answer your question how we can deploy and develop at the same time. Because we have some capacity for blue, let's say, what is triggered, and we also can deploy in a parallel because we have different, let's say, tools running in parallel. We have teams running in parallel, and the teams control these tools. So yeah, it's a bit hard to explain. I have to show it to you. Okay. And what is our key metrics for success? And we will talk about DORA metrics more, because it's about how fast, how soon, how frequent we can deploy, how short our release cycles, if we have automation, etc., etc. Again, guys, it's just overview. It's a huge topic, and thank you so much for staying and with whole attention.
Thank you very
I
much
think-
for
thank
this
you.
lesson.
No, thank you to
You
you.
have to
Thank you.
dive in
Overwhelmed
to
you
this
guys.
information.
Hmm?
I hope I'm not overwhelmed you.
No, no, we will rewatch the video and then come back stronger for the
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. Also, I'll send some videos that I found on YouTube. They're not so detailed, but as a theory, it's a good to understand, okay? As a review, let's say.
We have to understand how to operate the use of metrics, how we, if we want to implement such a framework in our future, our future work, I don't know. We have to understand excellent. We have to get excellent. Okay, we have to understand this. I'm just a bit too tired, maybe. That's why I speak a little.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. We'll get there step by step. I'm just trying not to tell much because we still need to wear this foundation, okay? We will scale, don't worry.
Cool.
Love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, night.
Thank you.
Bye, Nadia. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks,
And I don't want to give you any homework for now, okay? Because we just continue to grow our muscles and the theory about DevOps right now, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
See you. See you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.